Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce our speaker this morning, Mayor Martin Walsh. Marty Walsh was sworn in as Boston's 54th mayor on January 6th. That's how fast this year has gone by. During his 11 months in office, he has worked tirelessly, as I'm sure Lori would attest, to build upon Boston's strengths in a number of key areas, including strengthening the economy and creating good jobs, improving public safety and combating gun violence, ensuring that the Boston Public Schools enable the success for all the children of the city, increasing accessibility and transparency in city government, and serving all of Boston's neighborhoods and residents. And if you haven't been in his office to see the dashboard, which runs live, tracking everything from how many potholes are being fixed to some even more important issues, you should. But I think it's a great indication of exactly what he is trying to do every single day. As you know, Marty previously served as a member of the Massachusetts House of Representatives for 16 years. And I think it's fair to say that Mayor Walsh has already established that he and his administration will be a partner to the business community. We look forward to continuing to work with him and his administration through the remainder of his first term. And please join me this morning in welcoming Mayor Martin Walsh.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for that really kind introduction. Bank of America has joined with the Highland Foundation and others to help ensure that Boston's world-famous First Night celebration takes place for the 39th consecutive year. I want to thank you, Bob, for all that you do for our city. Thank you so much. You know, it's a great example of that civic partnership fostered by the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. Two people had a lot to do with building this type of partnership. The first is Mayor Thomas M. Menino. The outpouring of affection for Mayor Menino last month was a testament to his legacy. It was here at the Chamber of Commerce that he put a stamp on the city's relationship with its business community. His partner in that growing relationship was Paul Guzzi. Paul, I want to thank you for your service, not just to the Chamber, but to all of Greater Boston. Because of your hard work, I know your successor, whoever that is, will take over Dynamic Chamber. Congratulations, Paul. Speaking of transitions, I want to thank Governor Deval Patrick for 8 years of outstanding leadership. I also want to congratulate Governor-elect Charlie Baker, incoming Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, Attorney General Maura Healey, Treasurer Deb Goldberg. Congratulations as well to our new state legislators. You bring a deep talent and diverse perspectives from all across Massachusetts. I've been in your shoes, and I know how eager you are to start to make a difference. To all of our new office holders, the City Council and I look forward to a productive partnership with you to move Boston and the region forward together. Truly, it's an exciting time here in Massachusetts, and it's an exciting time in Boston. It's a time of new leadership and new growth. It's a moment of change in our history. It's an opportunity to define an era as we build new visions for our city. That vision is one of a Boston that's thriving, healthy, and innovative. It's thriving, an economic powerhouse, and an equitable community. It's a city of opportunity where businesses reach new heights, and everyone has access to good jobs, safe homes that are the foundations of middle-class security. It's a healthy city, a city where pathways for young people, green technology, and world-class healthcare make for the greatest neighborhoods and most productive workforce on the planet. And it's innovative, a global hothouse of ideas for solving the hardest problems in the world, from curing diseases to solving income inequality. At City Hall, we're building this vision from the inside out by installing a responsive, innovative, data-driven culture in city government. I'm going to talk today about our progress. I'll start by sharing some metrics, the kind of data I track on the new dashboard that was designed by my tech team and mounted in my office by the students from Madison Park High School. In housing, I'm thrilled to announce that with 3,859 units under construction, we have broken the record for annual housing starts in Boston. These new homes will be a part of Boston. They will put us on pace to meet our target of 53,000 new units by the year 2030. Anyone who wants to help make Boston a better place should be able to find a home here. In public safety, Boston remains one of the safest big cities in the country. And this year, we have removed a record 1,015 guns from our streets. This total reflects dedicated daily police work, as well as a successful buyback program. Violent crime is also down this year, and so is property crime. We've seen 449 fewer burglaries this year as compared to last year, and 163 fewer robberies. The Boston Police Department continues to set new standards for community policing. We saw the difference it makes in the aftermath of the Ferguson and Staten Island decision. Instead of standing apart in fear, police and community leaders came together in trust. It took dedication to earn that trust. Commissioner Billy Evans and Chief Willie Gross and I are always challenging ourselves to do better, to listen more, to learn more, to build more trust and more hope. Education is where hope begins. So this year we launched a process with the community partners to ensure that every 4-year-old in our city will have access to high-quality, full-day pre-kindergarten by the year 2018. We are making early education universal in Boston for the first time. Research proves that this strong start closes the achievement gap and puts children on pathways to long-term success. A culture of excellence extends from the hardest social challenges to basic city services. And our Public Works Department has had a record year also. We've repaired over 4,000 sidewalks, a 52% increase. We've paved a record 60 miles of roadway. We've filled 18,000 potholes, 48% more than last year. And by the end of the month, we will have replaced 10,000 streetlights with LED bulbs for an energy savings of 7.5 million kilowatt hours and a cost return of $2 million. We achieved these results with strong new leadership and the smart new digital tools. Finally, development through November. We have seen $4 billion worth of new construction break ground this year alone, 16.4% increase over last year, adding 7.5 million square feet of new floor space and more than 12,000 construction jobs. And the BRA this year has approved $3.7 billion more for an expected 10 million square feet of floor space, 4,700 units of housing, and 11,000 construction jobs. We kept the pipeline wide open, and we matched the blistering rate of approval that kicked off this time last November. We're proud of these results. We hit the ground running and we didn't let up. We set new standards in development, in education, in public safety, housing, public health, and infrastructure, the building blocks for our great city. And we're going to reach even higher next year. We're going to keep pace with Boston's expanding population and soaring economy. I want to talk more about that growth, what that growth means for our city. The fact is, to build a truly thriving, healthy, and innovative Boston, growth by itself isn't good enough. It isn't good enough if middle-class families can't afford to make a home in our city. It isn't good enough if small businesses are struggling and neighborhoods aren't reaching their potential. And growth isn't good enough when Standard & Poor's and the Federal Reserve and expert after expert tells us inequality is slowing down our economy and undermining our social mobility. Future generations depend upon the decisions we make now. Our duty at this moment is to make sure our city doesn't just grow bigger, it grows better. Planners talk about smart growth, but it goes deeper. It's about our identity, our values, our vision. We should show America there's a better way to grow, there's a Boston way. Growth should enhance the best qualities of our city. Neighborhoods should reflect the historic traditions and bold innovation. Our economy should be world-class and inclusive. New buildings should be creative, sustainable, and inspiring. I want to share with you some of the new policy initiatives that illustrate how we are shaping the growth around these values. We start by moving forward with one of the key strategies in our housing plan, growth zones for trans-oriented workforce housing. Boston needs more housing. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Every neighborhood has its own character. In some places, density is not only appropriate, it's badly needed. It is needed to bring prices back within reach. It's needed to spur retail investment. It's needed to breathe new life into underdeveloped streets. We're starting with 2 transit-oriented corridors. One growth zone will run along the Red Line on Dorchester Avenue between Broadway and Andrews Stations in South Boston. Another will follow the Orange Line in Jamaica Plain from Forest Hills to Jackson Square. The T-stops in these great neighborhoods should be embedded in the thriving, healthy, and walkable communities. And they will be. More zones will come when other neighborhoods see the kind of vibrancy that smart density produces. The conversation about new housing across our city will change for the better. Great. Great city neighborhoods need more than housing. They need thriving commercial districts as well. This year, we helped 93 new businesses open, creating 687 jobs. And we provided technical support for more than 2,600 other businesses. Some neighborhoods still struggle to fill empty storefronts. One reason is that complex zoning rules put up roadblocks to new investments. We're in the midst of a comprehensive zoning review, but we're going to make some necessary changes right away. On low-impact uses like art galleries or bakeries, and on improvements like takeout service or televisions in restaurants, we're going to flip from an automatic no to a thoughtful yes. We'll make sure Boston is open for business. We'll empower the community to help drive this growth. I'm proud of the city's support for women and minority-owned businesses, but I was surprised to find out we offer no similar programs for our military veterans. We owe it to our veterans and we owe it to our communities to draw on their character and leadership. So I'm going to issue an executive order that will guarantee veteran-owned businesses get the same first chance at city contracts. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all the veterans, the men and women of our armed forces and their families for your sacrifice and your service to our country. Our goal is to create for the first time a predictable and transparent development experience in Boston. That requires internal reforms. Early on, I challenged my team to modernize City Hall from the top to bottom, in every service, in every operation. That's what we've been doing every day. It started with permitting, the key to a welcoming business climate. In March, I announced new aggressive benchmarks, resolved 75% as-of-right permits within 20 days, and returned phone calls within 24 hours. So we brought in new leadership, we reformed our systems, and we invited Boston's innovative community to reinvent the online customer experience. I'm pleased to report today that we've met these goals. Median turnaround for as-of-right permits has dropped by 25%, from 27 to 20 days, even while ISD has processed 18% more applications. And we're responding to over 90% of our calls within 24 hours. There's more. The Board of Appeal has cleared a 4-month case backlog. Appellants now receive a hearing date within 1 month. Fire department permits will be available online for the first time. The online status check tool will connect you directly to a staff member working on your case. And the new web platform will guide customers through the entire process. The end result is that pulling permits is getting easier and faster than ever. And starting in January, the registry counters in City Hall will be open 5 days a week. How about that for innovation? For the first time, you'll be able to get a birth certificate on Wednesday in Boston. Innovation is about more than improving performance. It's about shifting paradigms. In Boston, we are proving that you can grow greener and you can grow bigger. Starting next year, we'll take steps to further that with the Renew Boston Trust. Renew Boston will manage energy retrofits of public buildings that are self-financed by future savings. This step marks a historic turning point in municipal energy efficiency, the era of incentives to the age of true investment. Renew Boston will reduce costs, increase resilience, and create jobs. And it will set a standard for private property owners all across our city. Environmental action is no longer a burden we accept. It's an opportunity we embrace. Ultimately, great cities aren't made by investment alone. They are made by talent and creativity of the people who live and work in them. Boston is home to the world's most innovative thinkers in science, technology, in business, art, and architecture. Our city's built environment should reflect a culture of imagination. Too often in recent decades, new buildings have been merely functional. I believe Boston can do better. We should aim for a world-class design. Our historic buildings reflect our unique past. New buildings should project the values and aspirations of our growing city. We can balance the old with the new, and we can do it with imagination. Let's make sure bold design is part of the conversation for every building in every neighborhood. Let's talk about what's going to rise above concrete garages downtown, from the harbor to Winthrop Square to Haymarket. Let's talk about the streets that will grow around the Fairmont line and Beacon Yards in Allston. Let's talk about the waterfront. The water's edge is where Boston was born and where it continues to be renewed. What kind of development will fulfill the potential of the Seaport, of East Boston, of the Wharf District? All across Boston, we have the opportunity to imagine new landmarks, new spaces, new gateways to our city. So I challenge every developer working in our city to take design to a new level. Reach beyond your comfort zone. Boston's design community is a driving force in our creative economy. Invite these innovators to dream up new images and new icons. Let's build an inspirational into our landscape here in the city of Boston. Balancing our fast-paced growth with our deeply held values takes vision and collaboration, and it takes strong leadership. For 11 months, I've been working closely with Interim Director at the BRA, Brian Golden. Brian has shown a deep understanding of the issues affecting growth in Boston. He has given me the confidence that we can move ahead with deep reforms in the BRA while still driving development forward. So today, I'm pleased to announce that I'm appointing Brian Golden to be the permanent director of the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Brian will work hand in hand with businesses and communities to make development in Boston work for everyone. As we enter this new era, there's a powerful force driving us all forward. It's Boston's thriving innovation sector. Through 3 quarters, Boston startups received over $1 billion in venture capital funding. That puts us 4th in the nation and first per capita on the East Coast. At City Hall, we're not standing by and watching. We are proactively supporting our innovators and inviting them to form new generations of civic leaders. I've been visiting their workspaces and hosting these entrepreneurs in my office. I want to know what they need to thrive, to grow, and to be Boston's next success story. We know what those success stories lead to here and elsewhere. Once upon a time, Greater Boston had a chance to keep Facebook. We can't afford to lose that kind of opportunity again. We have to be in the dialogue with these innovators from the moment their dreams take shape. And if there's something we can do to help them stay and grow in Boston, we shouldn't hesitate. So I'm pleased to announce that working with the City Council, we are taking steps to make sure that cloud computing leader LogMeIn expands their worldwide headquarters here in the city of Boston. Not only will we retain 300 jobs in their Summer Street office, they will add 450 new ones over the next 5 years. Our relationship with these innovators is not just about growth. It's about taking city government itself to the next level. We've never had access to more powerful tools for improving our performance. That's the story behind our new permitting platform, and it's quickly becoming the story of basic services and civic engagement. We introduced TicketZen in September, allowing thousands of drivers to pay parking tickets instantly on their mobile devices. We set up the Runkeeper app to let the public track engagement walks by our office-enabled services. We released a version of Citizens Connect that allows users to see the final repairs and a picture of the crew that made them. It's technology adding a human touch. It's helping to make city services a driver for civic engagement. That's what innovation in government should do. Online engagement should make City Hall more personal, not less so. The City of Boston website receives an average of 23,000 visitors each weekday. Our social media community totals 1.5 million users across all departments. That's vastly greater than the number of people who walk into City Hall each day. The internet truly is our new front door. We have to make it a welcoming, useful portal. Our new Chief Digital Officer, Lauren Lockwood, hired last month directly from a Boston startup, is charged with doing that. All across the digital platforms, we are harnessing technology to empower people. And that story we are making sure gets repeated across all of our neighborhoods in the city of Boston. Our schools and our streets are filled with energy and talent. All they need are the right pathways and the right tools. So earlier this year, we created 18 new free Wi-Fi hotspots in our Main Street districts, another 17 coming next summer. We are currently reviewing proposals to manage the Roxbury Innovation Center that will open up next year alongside the new Boston Public School headquarters in the Bruce Bowling Building in Dudley Square. And we have formed the Neighborhood Innovation District Committee to develop a plan for seeding startup support networks all across this city. Wiring our city for STEM success will make smart growth even smarter. We'll set the standard for a thriving 21st century workforce by being inclusive as we are innovative. And that's what we've been working on at City Hall all this year. Last week, I appointed Sean Blue as our Chief Diversity Officer and Frida Brasfield as Deputy. They're going to keep us moving towards our goal of more inclusion in Boston. It's not just the right thing to do, it's the only way we'll succeed over the long haul. Inclusion is a performance issue. For example, research shows that companies with women in leadership positions are more profitable than those without. And I don't have to tell you that. You all know Karen Kaplan, who worked her way up from a receptionist to CEO at Hill Holiday, not to mention chair of the Chamber Board, one job at a time. Colette Phillips is another member of the Chamber Board, whose success story for over 2 decades, Colette has been proving that multicultural marketing and networking make for a winning formula. Then there's Kathy Minahan, the first woman to lead the Boston Federal Reserve Bank, and now Dean of Simmons School of Management. Kathy heads up our Women's Workforce Council, and I've asked her to grow Boston's Women's Compact, our regional's most effective program for addressing gender gaps in the workplace. Women are leading transformative business across our city. Carol Downs was an anti-crime activist in Jamaica Plain. She decided what Hyde Square really needed was more job opportunities. So she and her partners, Kathy and Meg Meinzer, turned the Bella Luna restaurant and the Milky Way Lounge into a catalyst for revitalization and an anchor of community life. Lastly, a member of our team at City Hall, Trin Nguyen. Trin and her family escaped from Vietnam by boat. She spent 2 years in a refugee camp before making it to America. Her journey took her from public housing all the way to MIT's Sloan School of Management. She never forgot where she came from. I worked with Trin when she was chief of staff for the Boston Housing Authority, putting a plan together to create better housing and better jobs for tenants. So when I became mayor, I asked her to direct jobs and community service for the entire city, where she's spearheading our new Office of Financial Empowerment. Trin told me she's driven to give back, to make the American dream she lived possible for everyone. These are just a few of the powerful stories that lie behind Boston's success, and there are thousands more, but we know there aren't enough. So I want to close by asking for your help. We are creating paths to success from preschool through college and career, but it takes more than policy. It takes the personal guidance that only a caring community can provide. I know the difference these relationships have made in my life and my career. I want every single young person in Boston to have that same support. That's why, in response to a call to action by President Obama, we created the Mayor's Mentoring Movement. Our goal is to recruit 1,000 mentors over the next 2 years for the youth of Boston. That's where you come in. Our partners from Mass Mentoring are here, sharing information about many different ways you can get involved, in schools, in communities, or in the workplace. You can sign up today to forge a connection that will change a young person's life. Remember, none of us succeeded by ourselves. Passing along the gift of mentorship is something you can do personally, not only to give back, but to help ensure Boston is thriving, healthy, and innovative for generations to come. Thank you. I wish you and your families a happy and healthy holiday season. Yeah, absolutely.
Marty, you can see by the genuine applause that what you are doing and the vision you have is something that others share. And you've touched upon a number of achievements. If I were to look for a headline, it might be the new Boston, building on the old and creating the new. In that spirit, one thing that you didn't mention is a regional approach to economic growth. Could you talk about your vision for the region, not just Boston, but the Independent Republic of Cambridge, Somerville, Medford, and other communities?
Thank you, Paul. You know, from the very first day I got sworn in, when we talked about economic development, we're looking regionally, and I think it's been reported in the paper, and some of you know our approach in this. It's important for us here in Massachusetts that Boston just doesn't be the only driving factor around the economy, or Boston and Cambridge. So we certainly are approaching this regionally. We created the Red Line Corridor, if you will, an approach to try and spark new development in the city of Boston. We partnered with Somerville, in Cambridge, in Quincy, in Braintree. And we're also I'm very active in the Mass Metro's Mayor Association, and I feel the success of Boston and the Boston region has to be regionally. It can't be local. We're not in competition with one another. We have to view it as a regional approach to bring new industry into our city, in our state. And that's how we're going to do it. We're not going to do it by one city at a time. We have to do it by a complete region approach, and we're certainly very focused on that. And John Barros, the Chief of Economic Development, who's here with us today, is focused on that as well. We're looking regionally, not just Boston.
As I said at the beginning, Q&A from the audience, Marty is encouraging. We do have microphones. Questions that you may have on something either that the mayor touched or hasn't focused on at this point. We have a question over here. If you could state your name and organization and be brief in the question.
Sure, Mark. Mark Christofoli from Suffolk Construction. Mayor, can you talk a little bit about what the top legislative priorities are for the city of Boston in 2015?
Well, that's a good question. We're putting together our legislative package now. We're really looking at all of the different pieces that we have. We're going to be looking for some reforms around zoning relief. This isn't the top, but we're also looking at the late night task force to allow the opportunity for us to open certain parts of the city open later. We're not giving up on that. We're filing a whole host of legislation around education and funding. I'm looking forward to working with the new governor. I'm looking forward to working with the new Senate president, and certainly looking forward to working with my speaker, Bob DeLeo, to advance the city's agenda forward. I really think that one of the approaches we're going to take this year in the legislature isn't just Boston. I think that when Paul asked the question about regional approach, we really have to look and see what types of legislation affects the entire region and how we can regionally continue to work forward to move our agendas forward.
Questions over here. And I do have some that have been submitted, but easier name, organization.
Sylvia Farrell Jones, YWCA Boston. Mr. Mayor, congratulations on your appointments, particularly a Chief Diversity Officer. Could you say something about the timeline for a new head of the Boston school system?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. One of the things I didn't thank him, but Bob Gallery is the co-chair of the search committee. And last year, as we were moving forward in the process, we decided to slow the process down a bit. John McDonough, I think the superintendent's here. John McDonough is here. Thank you, John, for the great work you do in the city of Boston. We decided to slow the search down a little bit for a couple of reasons. One is the most important reason was that John can continue some of the reforms that he's been working on in the school department. And the second is to really get a better timeline on how we can move forward. So in doing that, our applicants went from roughly 40 applicants, people interested in the job, to 60. Right now, the timeline is somewhere in early to mid-February, we will have a final decision. The process of interviews will be starting, I believe, in a week or two. Right after the holidays, we have a process of weeks of interviews, and I'm assuming by some point in mid-February, I will have a name on my desk, or a few names on my desk, to make a decision. I've said this before. The most important decision I will make as the mayor of the city of Boston isn't the BRA director, isn't chief of different departments. The most important decision I have to make as the mayor of Boston is the next superintendent of schools, because those young people are the future of our city, and we have to get it right.
Let me read a question that has been in the news, as have many issues. But the new casino is scheduled, if the schedule ever works, to open up in Everett. Could you comment on your communications with Steve Wynn and the casino and what it means for Boston?
That's a good question. I've had one conversation with Steve Wynn himself, but my team has been meeting with the folks at Wynn to talk about transportation, different issues. We're having a lot of different discussions. I think that we still are a bit away from coming up with some understanding and agreement. I think the casino, what it means for Boston, I think it's another amenity added to our great city. I think it's an opportunity for us to be able to have another amenity. I think the revenue certainly is going to be great for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I supported the legislation back in 2010 for job creation, for economic opportunities, for money going into the general fund. I think overall, at the end of the day, the casino will be a good, strong generator of jobs and revenue in the Commonwealth. We still have a way to go with the city of Boston. As you know, there's been a little bit of a past here as far as the city of Boston negotiating with the casino operators. I just need to make sure, as the mayor of the city of Boston, that we fix the infrastructure around the casino, and also, in particular, the people of Charlestown are protected because they have the biggest impact. There are more Charlestown residents closer to the front door of Everett than people in Everett. So we're going to make sure that the people of Charlestown are protected in anything that happens over there.
The infamous last question, which I should never ask. Oh, yes.
Margie Ahrens Barron, Barron Associates Communications. Mayor Walsh, I noticed that you didn't mention the Olympics, and I wonder, at what point does the city insist on greater transparency and public discussion, especially in some of the affected neighborhoods, before this process really steamrolls and gets out of control?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the word steamroll. I think I would. You know, first of all, the Olympic discussion that's been going on in Boston that I've been involved with pretty much since the beginning, the biggest concerns that I have as mayor of the city of Boston is making sure that we don't mortgage the future of the city away. I think that I know there has been some community meetings around, well, 1 or 2 community meetings around the Olympics. I've certainly talked about it when I've been out in the community. I think one of the things that if we could reset the clock, maybe have a more of a dialogue with the neighborhood. But there's plenty of opportunity for people, whether it's online through the web or directly contacting my office, and we have coordinators in every single neighborhood in the city of Boston talking about it. No neighborhood will be steamrolled with the Olympics. If we are fortunate enough to be chosen to be the United States bid onto the IOC, onto the world stage, certainly every community is going to have opportunities to have deep discussions. These are fluid Olympics. These are venues that have been discussed, that pieces can be moved around if we have to move them around. I think the long-term benefit, the long-term legacy benefit to the city of Boston is outstanding. I think one of the things I really didn't touch upon in my speech was transportation infrastructure. We need to look at transportation infrastructure. One of the things that I mentioned in my speech was housing. Those two issues, in some ways, get addressed in the discussion around the Olympics. Whether or not we have an Olympic, to me, it doesn't matter. We're still having those discussions to fix the infrastructure in the city of Boston. When I talk about growing the population or growing the housing by 53,000 units, our population in Boston goes up to 700,000. We have to build an infrastructure for that 700,000. To bring it back to the Olympics, I don't think, I know that there are some people out there that are saying that it hasn't been transparent. I think it's been transparent, maybe not to the liking of everyone, but certainly there's been a lot of discussions and there's been a lot of opportunity to speak about the Olympics.
So, Mr. Mayor, on the note of looking ahead, let me just close, because that car has stalled a lot of people getting in here. I hope the hell it's out. Two comments. One, if there was any question about what the new mayor would do, and whether or not his door would be open to all communities, including the business community. Your actions speak much louder than your words. You are looking to work with business and with a variety of communities. Second, very specifically, I have our chair here. I'm sure he'll agree. We will work with you and the city of Boston on a mentorship program. I am sure it builds off this theme of talent. It begins early. I am sure that we can be of assistance in a meaningful way for you to reach the goal of creating more mentors for our young people. With that, let me reiterate, happy holidays, and we look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you very, very much. We'll figure out who